ready to kickstart off your investment journey. And for those who've already started one, you should be ready to keep on investing. Zabo is a platform by Altex East Africa. Zabo says, my money, my future. So it's a no hassle. The USSD code is *292# for the MTN subscribers, and you can definitely start that journey of investment. Well, Altex East Africa says do something new, and of course, creating room for you that with a minimum of 15,000 Ugandan shillings, you can invest in bonds and securities with the same platform. The markets here open at 8:15 a.m. and close at 3:15 p.m. East African Standard Time. And also you should note that these markets are closed on public holidays and then during weekends. So those are the days when you will definitely not be able to watch or be in sync with Zabo. And of course, Altex East Africa says do something new. Karibu East Africa, habari ya leo. Now let's head to Kenya, as Kenya Power and Kenya Airways have been given 300 million, are set to be given 300 million set bailout for restructuring. The 300 million is in US dollars that they would do to ensure that the two state-owned entities restructure again. Now, struggling Kenyan national carrier Kenya Airways and utility firm Kenya Power will get a bailout of 37.3 billion Kenyan shillings. That is approximately 300 million US dollars in the current financial year to support restructuring, as the two state-owned entities set to win them off annual government funding. Now, the funding is part of physical consolidation conditions set by the International Monetary Fund, as the lender presses the government to accelerate reforms at parastatus, many of which are in perennial losses and making some huge losses, and they want to return back to profitability, especially Kenya Airways. Now, Kenya's National Treasury expects to spend a total of 54.8 billion Kenyan shillings, that is approximately 448.8 million US dollars, to bail out struggling state-owned enterprises in the financial year 2021-2022, and of course the 2022-2023, causing a strain on the budget. KQ, that is Kenya Airways, will receive 34.95 billion Kenyan shillings. That is approximately 283.7 million US dollars. And Kenya Power will get 2.35 billion Kenyan shillings, approximately 19.1 million US dollars in the allocation, which is less than in the original budget for the financial year 2022-2023, after the supplementary budget cut was cut short by funding, and it was decreased to 8.7 billion Kenyan shillings. That's approximately 70.6 million US dollars. Now, if you look at the Kenya Airways debt, the airline, which is mad in an 835 million US dollars worth of a debt, and of course that is roughly 102.82 billion Kenyan shillings, had by September already received 10 billion Kenyan shillings. That is approximately 81.2 million US dollars from the Treasury to help it service its debt. Now, Kenya Airways has payables amounting to 44 billion Kenyan shillings, and it owed to different aircraft lessors, operation and maintenance costs, landing and rental fees. Then there's fuel costs, rent, navigation, handling charges, and taxes. The Kenyan Treasury says that the bailouts to KQ are already bearing fruits after the lender reduced its operating losses in the first half of 2022 by 31.5% to 5 billion Kenyan shillings. That is approximately 40.5 million US dollars. Adding that this same airline would have turned a profit in the absence of higher fuel prices. So they hope that Kenya Airways and Kenya Power will definitely be back on board, back strong in 2023 after the restructuring with this same money. Now we cross to Tanzania, as the Tanzanian SGR project is threatening the Mombasa port business. How true is this statement? Now, Tanzania has moved ahead of Kenya in the race to control the cargo import and export transport business cargo in the East African community. This follows the signing of a 2.2 billion, that's about 260 billion Kenyan shilling deal between President Samia Suluhu Hassan and, of course, the government of China to construct the final section of the standard gauge railway, which is aimed at linking the country with its neighbors in the west. Now, on the other hand, the 2,561-kilometer network will link the port of Dar es Salaam to Mwanza on Lake Victoria, with eventual paths to Burundi, Democratic Republic of Congo, Rwanda, and Uganda. President Samia Suluhu Hassan, who witnessed the signing, said that the construction of the 506-kilometer final section of the standard gauge railway from Tabora to Kigoma would be completed in 2026, then 9 years after it began. Meanwhile, Kenya is struggling to fund the remaining part of the standard gauge railway construction from the port of Mombasa to Uganda, South Sudan, and Ethiopia. Transport Cabinet Secretary Chipchumba Murkomen recently conceded that President William Ruto's government is seeking partners to help in extending the construction works, with the railway from Mombasa currently terminating at the resort town of Naivasha. That is with the standard gauge railway in Kenya. That only stops in Naivasha. Now, the Tanzania railway line to Mwanza could increase competition for Ugandan traders who currently rely on Port Mombasa for most of their goods. Now, Tanzania has already taken over a majority of the cargo transport as businesses to the DR Congo, Rwanda, and Burundi from Kenya. Well, the port of Mombasa is the port that is actually managing 80% of Uganda's exports and imports. And will Uganda switch its eyes to Tanzania? Logistically, if we look at where the costs are at, then we shall have to weigh in there. Lastly, from Karibu, East Africa, the European Union is set to fund the construction of a new 30 billion randis franc Kigali veg market. And the longer-awaited construction of the Kigali wholesale market for fresh produce could start early next year after the European Union reached a deal with the government to fund it. The project, to be constructed under two phases, will cost an estimated 29.5 billion randis franc, according to estimates from the National Agriculture Exports Development Board, with the capacity to handle 180,000 tons of fruits and vegetables every year. The market was expected to serve some 100 wholesalers. First mooted in 2010, the first phase of the market, which is expected to be set up at the Kigali Special Economic Zone in Gazabo district, was to be completed and start operation by 2018. However, the project has faced a series of postponements owing to a combination of financial constraints and delays in fine-tuning the project designs as well. Now, also on the other hand, the European Union ambassador to Rwanda, that is Belen Kabaro Uyawara, said that the joint team from Europe was working together with the European Union members for the construction of the Kigali wholesale market, and they hope in the next year they will be able to move forward. On October 6th, Uyara met Rwanda's Minister of Finance, Economy and Planning, Uziel Ndagijimana, and the two officials signed a financing agreement on transformational climate smart and inclusive agriculture in Rwanda for an amount of 60 million euros. That's approximately 72.5 billion randis franc. This particular program also encompasses a Team Europe initiative on sustainable and inclusive agriculture transformation, which is as well built around the construction and development of the Kigali wholesale market and related markets in secondary cities as the central components of highly productive and inclusive value chains. The market is expected to reduce post-harvest losses of fresh produces and boost the country's export earnings from horticulture. Now, post-harvest losses in horticulture, such as fruits and vegetables, were estimated to increase by about 40%, according to 2017 joint assessment by the University of Rwanda. That is the Rwanda Agriculture Board. And of course, the market is expected to improve logistics planning, quality control, look at storage of fruits and vegetables through providing new services like cleaning, grading, possibly drying and cold grading, as well as storage that increases product life and, of course, reducing the loss of unsold products. In addition of improving linkages and logistics to produce logistics of produce coming from rural areas, there's also aggregation points and markets. Officials say that the market will provide a modern and clean environment where food service business, food manufacturers, restaurants, hotels, and regional exports can find high quality fresh produce. So the market is ideally something that is going to be helpful to all the stakeholders who are benefiting from the agriculture sector, which means those other stakeholders, like those dealing in restaurants, those dealing in hotels, who wish to get fresh produce, will be looking out for this particular market to get themselves this particular fresh produce. And of course, when it comes to the export of fresh goods and from the agriculture sector, it will as well have a source where it comes from. And that is it for Karibu East Africa. Now let's turn our eyes to the SMB international outlets. Been over serious pressure, and they've apparently come on to ease restrictions on cash withdrawals after the public pressure has been mounting months in, months out. Now, 2 weeks after imposing caps on weekly cash withdrawals, the Central Bank of Nigeria had to raise them significantly in the face of public discontent. The Central Bank acknowledged in a statement on Wednesday that the vital role of cash plays in supporting rural and disadvantaged communities will ensure an inclusive approach in its transition to a cashless society. The Central Bank of Nigeria had decided to impose caps to limit the use of cash in the economy, and then among other things, it was concerned about counterfeit bills, the volume of cash out of the banking system, and the huge amounts of ransom money being paid to bandits and kidnappers. On December 6th, if you're to look at this, the institution drastically, that is the Central Bank of Nigeria, the CBN, the institution drastically reduced the weekly cash withdrawal limit for individuals from 2.5 million naira to 100,000 naira overnight. For companies, the limit was reduced from 3 million naira per day to 500,000 naira per week. Then also the decision angered Nigerians who use a lot of cash for business, especially in the informal sector, where many do not have bank accounts, and the only means of sending money or doing business transactions is by using their smartphones and also securing cash withdrawals, cash deposits. Of course, we do have that here with the mobile money companies in one way or the other. Now, the institution has also launched new 200, 500, and 1,000 naira bills. So the limit for companies to withdraw in Nigeria was 3 million naira per day. Now it was apparently turned to 500,000 naira per week. And then you get to the other one was cash withdrawal limit for individuals was from 2.5 million naira. Then it was eased to 100,000 naira overnight. So that is where the public pressure has been coming in from. Most of them do not use the bank account. Most of them feel safer using their mobile phones or their smartphones to carry on transactions and mobile money companies rather than using the bank measures. Anyway, away from that, Ballaway has sold Africa logistics arm to MSC Shipping Company, operated by the family of billionaire Vincent Bolo. The French conglomerate Ballaway Wednesday completed the sale of its Ballaway Africa Logistics arm to shipping company MSC Group. Now, the Ballaway company said that the transaction was on the basis of a $6.1 billion value enterprise. Now, in Cameroon, Liberia, and Sierra Leone, Ivory Coast, and Cambodia, the local communities have denounced land grabbing, and of course, this is something that you should be looking at. Now, the group before the sale of its Africa Logistics arm had been accused of corruption and illegal practices in a number of deals, allowing it to secure port concessions in Africa. In Cameroon, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Ivory Coast, and Cambodia, local communities have denounced land grabbing and environmental destruction by the same company. So this included a major one in Togo in 2021, when Ballaway agreed to pay a settlement of 12 million euros to have legal proceedings related to corruption charges in the West African nation, which had dropped. Now, the Bolloré company holds 29.5% of French media company Vivendi, that is VV.pa, and roughly 18% of Universal Music Group, UMG.as, as well as a small stake in Italian bank Mediobanca. So it has apparently successfully sold off the logistics to MSC Shipping Company that will be taking on the African logistics arm. And lastly, from the international news, we head to the United Kingdom economy, which has shrunk more than previously thought. Of course, after hitting double digits and of course hitting way beyond the inflation that was highly expected in a period of 20 years. The UK economy shrunk by more than first thought in the 3 months to September, according to the revised figures. The economy contracted by 0.3% compared with the previous estimate of 0.2%, as business investment performed worse than first thought, according to the Office of National Statistics. The growth figures for the first half of 2022 have also been revised down, as the country is considered to be in recession when its economy shrinks in 2 3-month periods or quarters in a row. Typically, now companies make less money, pay falls, and unemployment rises, leaving the government with less money in tax to use on public services. Now, according to the data from the National Statistics, from the Office of National Statistics, the ONS, the gross domestic product, the measure of the size of the economy, was now estimated to be 0.8% below where it was before the pandemic. And then the economy has been hit as the sagging energy and food prices push inflation to a rate at which the prices have to rise in its highest level in a period of 40 years. It means that the consumers are spending less and the businesses are cutting investments, by the way. Along with its revision for the July to September period, the Office of National Statistics said that the economy also grew less than ever after the first half of this year, expanding by 0.6% in the first quarter and 0.1% in the second quarter. The Office of the National Statistics has previously said growth stood at 0.7% and 0.2% in those quarters respectively. It is not unusual for the Office of the National Statistics to revise its growth estimates. It produces a first estimate of GDP, which is about 40 days after the quarter in question, at which point only about 60% of the data is available. So the figure is revised later as more information continues to come in from the same situation. So that is it from the UK point of view, and the inflation measures in the United Kingdom, as the pressure still mounts on the new Prime Minister, and of course the entire government in the UK, with inflation hitting its highest peak in 40 years. That's a very huge threatening point of view from the Office of National Statistics in the United Kingdom. Well, as we're heading into the festive season, just quickly remind you that you can follow us on our social media platforms: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and of course LinkedIn. We are Smart24 TV. It's only on Instagram where we draw the line with an underscore, Smart24 TV underscore, Smart24 underscore TV, that is on Instagram. Then the others are Smart24 TV on Twitter, Smart24 TV official on Facebook. But also be reminded that we can be giving you all that matters business updates by also going on to our YouTube channel. And remember to subscribe, Smart24 TV Live, where we do stream live on all our programs, as well as giving you recaps of different interviews as they've been happening throughout our fieldworks here on Smart24 TV. As we head into the break, prepare yourself to invest in bonds and securities with Zabu. Zabu, a platform by Altec East Africa, says do something new. And of course, with Zabu, my money, my future. So if you have no money, it's a no hassle. Use the USSD code *292#, follow the prompts, and quickly invest your money with a minimum of 15,000 Ugandan shillings, and then wait to see wonders just with your money. As in a period of 1 to 2, 3 years, you'll be able to at least reap some good results with the money that you invested in, by purchasing stock, or by purchasing stocks, or by investing in bonds and securities. And of course, you will be able to at least have a say on the journey of the financial markets in Uganda. The markets open at 8:15 a.m. and they are closed at 3:15 p.m. East African Standard Time. Please do note that these markets are only closed on public holidays and then during weekends. Zabu is powered by Altec East Africa, which says do something new. Well, I'm Gerald Bolzunko in here for Smart Means Business, Monday to Friday from 6:30 a.m. to 9:50 a.m. in the morning. Get me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Jerome Bolzunko. Let's discuss business matters and beyond. The weather does not look so friendly this morning. It's cold in most parts of the country, and of course, when you look at the factors relating to that, it has been a rainy season, of course. So that means it is highly expected to rain on Christmas. You never know, but it's something you should not write off at any one point. But of course, as the business community never sleeps and it never goes on leave. It always has to create room to get money. If you cannot make money physically, you can still earn money with your smartphone. You can still do online purchasing, online delivery, all that. The transition in technology has made every little detail count, and every little detail is worth it, trust me. Yes, after the break, I have the business tips, business quotes, social media trends, and of course, I've got more business updates on the way. So why don't you stick around with me? I'll be right back.